Hi, my name is Tara Kachaturoff, and I'm the host of Michigan Entrepreneur, where we feature businesses from startup to stellar. Today, I have as my special guest Fred Detwiler, president of Trade First. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tara. Nice to be here.
Excellent. I am so excited to talk to you today because this is a first. You have a very unique business, and I'm ready to dive right in. But before we do, and we talk about Trade First and what you do there, why don't you talk a little bit about your background?
Well, Tara, after college, and when I decided to get to work, I started out at a radio station. I wanted to be in the radio business. So I started out at a small radio station in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where I worked there for about a year and a half and ended up as a sales manager. I then decided that I want to go to the big city. So I came to Detroit and worked for an iconic rock and roll radio station called WABX. And that was just a lot of fun, lots of great memories. But in that time in radio, we would do a lot of one-to-one barter, and that would mean that a radio station would do a barter deal with a excuse me with a restaurant or a printer where they would get radio time, and then the restaurant or printer would or the radio station would get meals or printing, and that was very good because it assumed that the radio station had excess time and the restaurant had excess tables, so that all worked out well. So um, we did that for a number of years, and then I heard about the round robin barter concept.
All right. Well, before we jump into this, why don't you explain to us? We're going to be talking about bartering because that's what Trade First is all about, right?
Yes.
Why don't you give us a definition of bartering in the sense that you're doing it with your organization so that we all start on the same page and then we'll
Right.
move from there.
Well, I think a lot of people have a pretty good understanding of bartering, where a company or a dentist and a plumber might exchange services. So the dentist might need some plumbing work, and then the plumber might need dentists. But that's limiting because if the dentist doesn't need more plumbing or the plumber doesn't need more dentists, then a transaction can't occur. So when I was at the radio station, I was introduced by a mentor to this round robin barter exchange idea, where a company, which is what Trade First is, acts as the clearinghouse, as the keeper of the funds and the marketing agent to have a multiple companies participate. And that would eliminate the need for one-on-one barter. So company A, so the plumber can get teeth dental work, and then the dentist may not need plumbing work, but the dentist might need to get printing, and then the printer might need to have a forklift, and then the forklift company might need to have a roof done. So in our system, we created a spendable currency where companies could sell their products or services, get credit, same as a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express, and then they could save that money and buy other goods and services they need later on.
And so your company, that's the whole premise of what your company does, correct?
Yes, it
Okay.
it it helps companies sell what would be excess capacity, and put that into goods, because companies they're in business to sell as much as they can and to save cash, and most companies have excess capacity, and but all companies pay for 100% of the overhead every day. They pay for their rent, they pay for their insurance, which, as you know, insurance has gone up a lot, electricity's gone up, the staff and all the supplies have gone up. But if they have excess capacity, that is gone forever. Companies have the ability to sell tomorrow, but they have no ability to sell what was unsold yesterday, last week, last month. So if you picture an empty hotel room or a dentist with an empty chair or a restaurant with an empty table, um, yet there's still the restaurants paying for the chef, the sous chef, the bartender, the insurance, the maintenance, etc., and they're also paying for the food. So if that food lies idle and the table lies idle, uh, what are they going to do? They're going to sell the food the next day. But I don't know many restaurants that have a big sign that say, "Come on in, we have 3-day old food." So what we do is we help companies from large and small to move what would be unsold, unused, and idle capacity.
So how exactly do you do that with a business? How do you monetize capacity since it's future tense? Like it's not, how do you do that?
Okay,
I don't
well,
understand how that
by
works.
monetize is exactly what we do. So by monetizing is if you have we'll take the restaurant example. If you have a table that's empty and a table for four, so it is idle capacity,
Hmm.
and you have to understand which people do. They're still paying for uh, the chef, and the chef is not cutting up and making food, and the waitress is not serving, and the bartender is not pouring the drinks. They're still getting paid, and by monetizing that is that they're selling what they would have normally sold, the normal price of the meal,
Hmm.
and rather than having it go empty, they're now getting what they normally would have sold. So if it's a meal for four, it's $200 um, with a decent bottle of wine. Then they will now get $200 credit in their trade account. So you look at the trade account similar to a closed Visa or American Express. So they would now receive money, receive spending power that they
Hmm.
wouldn't have had before. So they sell 10 meals, now they have $2,000. So the next time they need to maybe reprint their menus or clean their grease traps or put flowers on their table or steam clean the kitchen or power wash or have pest control, rather than writing checks out of their checkbook, they're paying for that same services, and they're paying for it with the trade that was in their account, which they received by selling extra meals. And also that these are business owners. So the people that are coming in are business owners. These aren't like discount coupon, Groupon type people.
Right.
So these are business owners, and the business owners now not only are enjoying this, but they also have friends and neighbors. So they'll then go back and say, "Hey, I just went to this great new restaurant," and that creates, which is most businesses will say their best source of new business, word of
Mouth.
mouth.
Yep.
Exactly. So it helps businesses on many levels by increasing the sales, putting more people through the door, taking what would have been idle capacity, and now, as you said, monetize it into a spendable currency, which is the trade dollar, which they then can use to purchase any number of things that they need to run their operation, and or all businesses are in business to not only help the business grow, but also to help their employees, pay their employees, and also pay themselves. So it gives them more income, more access to income, and it saves cash. And how it saves cash is that the cash that they're not spending on the products or services that they would normally spend, that they're using their trade dollars, they now have cash left over.
So so this works as long as the constellation of members have what they need, because it has to be within the constellation of services, products and services that they can get access to.
Correct, and that's what we do. We have a great staff, and we've been doing this since 1978. We've had people who've been with us for pretty much almost till from the beginning. And
Wow,
what
that's amazing. That's fantastic.
and
Is this just a Michigan-based concept? Does this only exist in Michigan,
no,
or
it,
does?
it's nationwide. We're not nationwide. We have offices in Michigan,
Hmm.
Ohio, and Southeast Florida, but we also
Hmm.
have accounts. We have a pretty good presence down in the Caribbean and in Mexico, and with for hotels. So if you can imagine, you got an empty hotel room. What's it worth? So here we have we probably have 50,000 beds or room nights at least available, if not more, down in the Caribbean. So you have companies that work hard. The asphalter that works hard picks up extra jobs, and it gets a lot of extra, gets some extra dollars, and they're going to take their family to a vacation down in Cancun or Jamaica or St. Lucia or Cabo San Lucas. Rather than writing checks for this, they're paying for it with extra um, jobs that they received.
So, this, when you have this kind of situation, is there a tax consequence to barter arrangements?
Oh yes, they're in 1982. We helped write a bill that we barter companies submit 1099-Bs every year
Okay.
to the government. And this is one of the issues that this crypto thing is going through, where they don't do that. So we've been this since 1982. The government knows what we do. This is not about saving on taxes. This is about
Right.
getting more income.
Right.
And we help companies get more income. They get more income, and they do what and they're saving cash. They can take that cash. They can reinvest it in their income. They can put it in their 401ks. They can expand their business rather than going to banks. And we all know what's happened to interest rates. And you know, if a
It's
company
just a
wants,
fair market value exchange, right? It's
yes, it is.
it's fair market value, yeah, and just reported like any other transaction. It's
Any
just
other
not using the
transaction.
cash resource, so it keeps that you keep the liquidity that you have without putting your business at more risk by using the cash. Yeah, that's amazing. So when you go back, 30 years and you decided to create this company. So this came out of your prior experience at the radio station, but did you just start this on your own, or did you start it with a group of people? How did it start? Was it a community effort or just yourself, or how?
Yeah, there was a group that we paid. We heard about this from my mentor friend,
Hmm.
and we went and invested. And first of all, the light bulb went off because I could see the restrictions of the one-on-one trade. I also saw the benefits of a one-on-one trade, where companies would be getting income that they would have been idle.
Yeah.
So then we invested in the technology, and there wasn't really much technology back then, but it was the business model, and then we took it and grew it. And interestingly enough, you talk about friends. I had a bunch of friends that helped me out. One of my friends was a computer programmer who did bank programming, and he wrote our first program. It very simple, but it was advanced at the time in 1979. So we've been able to be computerized, and back then it wasn't that computerized compared to today, but it was very computerized compared to everything else. So we were able to electronically record all these transactions, and because you record the transactions and then you send out the statements, so all
Right.
the participating clients know their balance, similar to Mastercard, Visa, or American Express.
So do you give statements by the month as well, like monthly you get like do you get transactional statement and then monthly statements and then of course your tax thing at
And
the end of the year?
yeah,
That's how it
people
works.
receive monthly statements, but everything's 24/7 online.
Hmm.
All our transactions are digital. They're
Yeah.
transactions by QR codes. You get instantaneous purchase notifications, sales notifications. It's just
It's
like
your own little ecosystem.
it's the ecosystem.
Yeah, that is so cool. That is amazing. I don't know if you can share any numbers, but how many uh, different industries or I don't know, kind of like SKUs, but industries are represented in your group nowadays?
We have probably 4,000 different companies, but these companies, many of them have multiple outlets,
It's
and
amazing.
it is from a diverse as I can give you some names that you know about from the Better Health Store, which is
Oh, I know them.
right.
They were
So
on my program.
when he started out with us, he had a couple little stores, and they were selling vitamins, and now they've
Yeah.
grown into 14, 15 stores. Actually, I heard they're just opening up a new location in Toledo, which we have on a market down there. And they you can go to Better Health. You can get your organic avocados and vegetables, and your grain-fed beef, and farmer and fresh fish, and your CoQ10 and vitamin C, and maybe you get some organic wine, and you go to the checkout line and you hand them your trade first card that gets scanned, and the authorization, the funds go from the buyer into the seller account. So companies like
Wow.
that, to Jack's Car Wash, to Buddy's
Yeah.
Pizza, uh,
Buddy's, did you say Buddy's Pizza?
Buddy's Pizza. We do
Buddy's Pizza. Wow.
great stuff. So you get your pizza on trade,
Okay.
and
And you got it on a you got it on a credit card, literally like a credit card you can use.
I can show you a credit card.
Oh my
I
gosh,
will.
this is fantastic.
And here's our credit card right here,
Oh,
and with a little
neat.
QR code on the back. And that's all.
Wow.
You got everyone's. We got apps, and everything's all electronic, all
Absolutely.
digital.
That's
And
amazing. So you don't even have to use cash when you're checking out at Better Health. That's super.
no, you don't.
That's
Uh,
fantastic. So, what, tell us a little bit about like, what does it take to be a member of your organization? To start off, like, what do you need if somebody wanted to join Trade First and get their business in that ecosystem? What does it take to be a member?
we want somebody who has a marketable good or service.
Hmm.
We try to be in consumer goods as much as possible. Detroit is a big manufacturing hub.
Hmm.
Some of the small little tool and die shops that are very valuable to make something and go into something. We don't have that expertise.
Yeah.
So we are more in finished goods, finished manufacturing products, from toys or to. But we do have nuts and bolts. But we have plumbers, roofers. We have schools. University of Detroit, for instance, as a member. So you can take rather than paying cash for a tuition, you can use your trade dollars. And so, and
Wow.
what does the school use it for? Well, they have an empty seat, but they also have
Yeah.
a big facility. So rather than paying cash to fix a roof, they can use their trade dollars. We have real estate companies such as Farbin,
Hmm.
which has lots of office buildings and other retail space. So if you have an empty office space, what is that worth? It's not worth anything. So you have a client now who goes there, spends their trade dollars. Farbin gets the dollars. They take the dollars and they paint their office rather than spending cash. So they keep their cash working in their business. So it's restaurants, um, salon studios, auto repair, landscapers, and travel, and lots of advertising, and lots of local advertising, and we deal primarily with small to medium local businesses. We do have a number of national firms, but we do primarily small to medium local businesses. And these are the companies that have been really under a lot of stress in the last number of years or so. And then not only are they, we've had the vagaries of changing economies and roles, but they also have a lot of competition from the Wall Street backed big box stores and now the internet. And so what we do is we keep business in the local community. So business owner A will go to business owner B. They live in the community. They go out to they work in the community. They own real estate in the community. They go out to restaurants in the community. They get their car repaired in the community. So it helps the community grow by keeping money within the system, and it's not going to Silicon Valley or Seattle.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. What a great opportunity. And also just the fact that it's such a great network of the local community, of the local business community, and getting people to focus in on all the richness that we have around us instead of always going outside somewhere else. I mean, I think it's so helpful just from the connection standpoint, as entrepreneurs. I mean, it's just there's so many valuable things here, let alone the situation where you can use those trade dollars, which I think is fantastic. And you have a credit card that you can, do it through. That's super. I love it. So do you have any people who are just digital businesses? Like they don't have a storefront or anything like that? Do you have
Yes, we
those
do.
kind of
Yeah,
businesses?
we have the Amazon type people who have companies, and you can pay for things on trade through the internet.
Hmm.
Uh, we've got digital advertising. I mean, we have yes, we do. Um, so that's a good growth area too. So again, if somebody's taking value and increasing the value by their work or their entrepreneurship, then it's a good fit on trade. It doesn't replace cash, but it helps people grow. It gives them more
Yeah.
income they wouldn't have had before, connections, which is really important.
Hmm.
And I was talking to a roofer the other day who was in. He said the best thing, not only getting trade dollars, but he said he's picked up 3 times the amount of cash dollars because he would do a roof for one of our trade members, and the next door neighbor is a tool and die shop, and he needed a new roof, but he didn't have anything that we could trade. But the roofer got the job anyways because of word of mouth. So it's not only
Yeah.
that they're getting it, it's as you said, it's the community, and it's also a community of small businesses who do help each other and lean on each other in these tough times.
And you know what's interesting is it almost goes back to like the early roots of business before all the communications and stuff. They did all depend on each other. You know, the person who put shoes on the animal on the horses, and then the tanner and the this and the that. They all worked together. I mean, that was what made up a community. It's kind of interesting how it's all kind of come full circle. And I love the fact that it again, it's about connecting and keeping things local and building up each other's businesses. And I bet they fared a lot better during the pandemic than many other businesses because they had this network. Can you speak to that at all about how it was during the pandemic?
The pandemic was, the latest of some of the issues that have been, uh, that have hurt small business. I mean, the 2008 2009 recession.
Hmm.
What did they do? They bailed out the big Wall Street banks, and and the little banks were left scrambling. During the pandemic, we at Trade First didn't shut down. We kept going. We kept open. I was in the office every single day. We had half our staff in here every day, even though 75% of our members were shut down. And yet, as you know, the liquor stores and Walmart were perfectly fine to be open. But so how did that help our small businesses? Well, they had access to trade dollars, and we also not only have access to trade dollars, we also will extend credit to people. So that
Hmm.
would mean that they could go buy on trade and go into a credit line and then pay it back later. So during the pandemic, we just said, okay, we're going to help our restaurants, we're going to help our people keep going, and they can continue to buy. So the restaurants were able to use their trade to sanitize, to build those little booths, to clean their grease traps. The companies were utilizing trade and keeping their cash. And as you know, cash was very tough because they got these little PPP loans, but that was a small percentage of what it takes to keep a business going. Because not only um, you had to pay your rent if you're a business, you had to pay your property taxes, you had to pay your insurance. So you own a building, you had to pay all those expenses. If you were a individual, you got your mortgage abated. But if you were a business owner,
Yep.
those loans had to be paid. The insurance had to be paid. The electricity had to be paid. So yeah, so we helped them even more because they would use their trade to keep their business going, to go to better health, and can't tell you how many people more went to better health to buy food on their tables, because their business was closed. So it,
That's amazing. Amazing. This is just such a wonderful business idea. And how do you get the word out about this so that you can bring more people into this system of yours at Trade First? How do you get the word out?
well, our primary way, we are engaged in many of the Chamber of Commerce's.
Hmm.
So we would try to network there. Our primary way is we still have lots of direct sales. We have representatives who are in the marketplace, in the community,
Oh,
dealing with the individual business owner on a one-on-one basis. So there's a lot of that. We do have social media, which we're getting into and utilize, but we're dealing with business owners. How do you connect with them? We connect with them through the one-on-one, through personal. We do a little advertising, but our best source of business is our existing course members of business, and they give us referrals. Matter of fact, number one, Jennifer the other day just referred 5 new members
wow.
to us because everyone knows somebody who says, yes, I need new business, and yes, I would like to save cash.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm just so blown away by this organization. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Thank
So, as you go forward, actually, I want to back up a minute. I want to ask you about the computerization and what's the systems in the background. So, is everything you're doing right now still highly customized? I mean, there's no software you were able to purchase and then customize, or is this written from the ground up?
you. That's a good question. We have written our program and maintain our program in-house and have
Mm,
since 1979
yeah,
through numerous rewrites. And then interesting story is that my friend who wrote our first program, he did it for many decades, and his son now is taking care of our programming and computer maintenance. But we have had we've been very upfront and ahead of the game in computer technology.
yeah.
We had our own internal swipe systems, authorization systems, apps. We have a app. You can hit your phone where you are. It'll show you all the members within 1 mile, 2 miles, 10 miles, where you can walk in and
Use your stuff.
utilize your trade.
Yeah, I was
That's
wondering about that because that is like so fantastic because like if there are all these local folks, so you can make use of it. It's great. I love it.
And we also have a separate advertising department, just like an ad agency,
Uh-huh.
run by Steve Schroeder, who had his own ad agency. So he and his staff can go to a member, help them and develop an advertising plan from concept, creative, production, and placement. So that gives the small business owner a great advantage because they can have the same reach and throw
Yeah.
as a big Wall Street funded national firm, and they're not spending their cash. So they're out there in the marketplace, getting their name out, but they're utilizing their trade dollars rather than utilizing cash. So they're able to better fight against the big box stores and the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've come to the end of our time, and I've really enjoyed learning more about Trade First and what goes on there. It sounds fascinating, and yeah, gosh, everybody needs to get in on this. It's really an amazing thing that you've created here. Um, my final question to you, Fred, is what is your advice to entrepreneurs? What's one piece of advice? I know what my advice would be: go join Trade First, but what's your advice?
Well, that yeah, business is challenging. There's lots of challenges that go on, and there are lots of unknowns out there and pitfalls out there. When you brought up the pandemic, who would have thought? Who would have thought that somebody can come up there and say your business is not essential? Okay,
Right.
so that suddenly takes everything and turns it totally upside down. So you've got to always be defensive. You can't say that, gee, I have a lot of money, I'm really doing well, because you never know what's going to happen. So how you get to be growing and make money, sort of like the millionaire next door, is you're not out there trying to hit home runs. You are out there trying to save a little bit of money every single day, increase your sales, increase your networking, and you do it steadily all the time. And through trade, what trade can do is increases their network, increasing their sales, and they're monetizing that with what would have been empty capacity.
Yep.
So don't leave any money on the table. Go for get as much money as you can, and save your cash. And that's what trade's all about. Is that you help the companies grow, you reinvest in the company, you reinvest in your lifestyle, you take some of the trade out to fix your home or buy your kids braces. We all know how expensive braces are. Um, but it's all
Hmm.
money. So you save $100 here and $500 here and $5,000 here, and pretty soon that adds up to real money. And you take
Well
that
said.
and you invest it, and you make it grow. And then if next time some politician decides that you're not essential, you at least are protected yourself.
All right. Well said, Fred. Thank you so much, Fred Detwiler, President of Trade First. Thank you so much for being a guest on the program
I
today.
appreciate it. Bye.
Absolutely. If you'd like more information about our program, please visit us at michiganentrepreneurtv.com. Please join me again in the future when I interview another enterprising entrepreneur. Until then, wishing you the best of business.